me up.
You know what?
Above this.
Above
The
this.
flames in there.
Haha. Whitechapel, Our Endless War. It's their new album. This is their 6th album? 5th album? 5. Album number 5.
Yeah.
Came out April 29th. Metal Blade Records. We've been jamming it. We're here to talk about these jams. And just comment on a scale of 1 to 10. Tell me how much of a bro Sam looks like right now.
Chicago Bulls.
Your team lost.
I needed a new hat. Your team lost.
You shouldn't support your team when they lost in the playoffs.
You should support your team when they go down on your mom.
I don't have a team.
I don't know what I'm saying there. Yeah, you don't even have a team.
No,
So
I
get out of your own basement.
You know what? Fuck you.
You're banned for life, and you're fined 2.5 million chicken wings.
You're banned from the channel.
This is a review.
Whatever.
This all has to do with the album. It's a pretty abstract explanation of the album, but
You'll find deep meaning in that.
Our Endless War. Right away, this is just my personal opinion. How I see the album. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I think this is the first Whitechapel album that I haven't any bit really been somewhat interested in. I mean, to start off with, I don't really listen to this band a ton anymore. They used to be one of my favorite bands and everything. I listen to them all the time, and yada yada yada. But the first thing that I don't like, just personally, I can see how this would bother some people. The vocals, Phil Bozeman's vocals it's pretty frequent. They have this weird effect on them, where it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like. I'm not gonna go all the way back. I'm not gonna be one of those guys. Oh, it's not Smack the Defilement where it sounds, crappy or whatever. It's not, just his vocals. I feel like there's some doubling up or some scratchiness, some not static, but something else to it that just kind of bothers me. Like sometimes if the music will sort of stop or get quiet, and he'll say a big line in a song, it just bothers the hell out of me. How it does, if you really listen, it doesn't sound like his, just him. You can tell there's something with it, and that just bothers the hell out of me. But that's just me. That's probably my biggest complaint about the vocals. Again, Phil Bozeman, he still has a pretty wide range and good fluctuation between, everything that he does. He sounds pretty good. It's just that bothers me, and that limits me to get past, into the rest of the vocals to really deeply analyze them or, say how I feel about them or whatever. But, overall, he still has the ability and the range and everything. He has the talent. It's just the production, the effects on that. The music itself, I kind of feel is pretty groovy, a lot, pretty fast-paced. Like the title track is pretty upbeat and everything, and they have some cool riffs on this album, but I don't know what it is. It's just maybe in time it's something that has to grow on me. But for now, I don't know what it is. It's something sounds kind of different. Not sound, but feeling with it. It just sounds like something's missing or something's just not quite there. But I feel Tyler and I were talking about it earlier, and he said something that I agree with, and he might elaborate on more. But the production really brings this album down. As in, it's overproduced, so it doesn't sound, so dimensional, if you will. it doesn't sound real. At least to me, it doesn't sound real enough. It sounds very produced. It's just something that I didn't, care for too much. Those are my complaints about this album, though. The production, it brings it down, and the music itself, Phil Bozeman's vocal ability itself, it could have made the album a lot better. It's just the production that really, puts a damper on it for me. And I could go on and say, oh well, the drumming is good, or well, the riffs are good. I mean, that's kind of what you'd have to expect. They're, like this band has, like their last album, you can tell it's as they keep going on, it's not the same thing as the self-titled, but it's this style that they've been going with, and they progress a little bit more as a band, and have some very Slipknot-ish parts, some very heavy, sort of old school Whitechapel parts with with blast beating and heaviness, and but overall the production is just something that again and again I have to bring up that it holds the album back. But the drumming is good drummer, good guitarist, good vocalist. It's good music. It's just like I said already.
We're in early May, so we still have 7 months left of the year, and I can probably already tell you what's going to be the top of my disappointment list of 2014, and that's this record. I want to like this album. I really do. I've listened to this album literally since they started streaming it last weekend, 2 days before this officially came out. I listened to it. I was disappointed. I want to like it. I listened to it again. I'm disappointed. I don't feel anything from a lot of these songs. I'll say probably after maybe the 4th or 5th track, they literally all sound the same. And I don't feel anything from them. Usually from Whitechapel, I'm like, yeah. Even the early songs on here, I'm like, yeah, the groove is, there's some nice grooves there, or, man, that was really fucking heavy. I feel something. I just, it invokes feeling in me. Most of these songs do not. They're nothing, I feel. They're like this. They're thin. There's nothing to them, I feel. And it's just weird. Like, I never thought that I would have that problem with Whitechapel. Even their self-titled, there was no song on there that I felt like I did not feel anything from. It was a good record. This, I don't know, and I want to like this a lot. Now, the first track, Our Endless War, the title track, is honestly, if I had to make a list personally of my top 10 favorite Whitechapel songs, I'd probably put this in there. Not up too high, probably towards the bottom end of the list, but that's a seriously good song. And it felt like such a breath of fresh air for this band, in that this song just was a fucking rager. It was kind of thrashy. It just had this very fast beat the whole time, very, very chunky and catchy riff in there, and dare I say, inspired riffing going on a lot throughout this album. Just with the grooves, I should say. Take the Saw as the Law. I don't really care what people say. I find that beginning to be very groovy. I always find myself bobbing my head. I dig that riff. And I mean, there is some alright riffs in here, but none like past albums. Like this, I don't feel anything that is like a Possession, or This Is Exile, or I Dementia, or I don't know. Darkest Day of Man, yeah, or something like that. I don't feel anything like that with a lot of these tracks. And yeah, I'm going to point to it. The production. I always talk about how, good production, if it sounds good, it adds to it. A production can really make or break an album.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like if it's good production, you don't even notice it sometimes.
Kind of, yeah. And you notice how it doesn't really bring it down or anything. It's just, it's there. Sometimes a band can have a more raw production, and because of their style, it really suits them. Take Skeleton Witch, for example. That's a band that has a very raw production for their albums, and because of their sound, it really works for them. Take Slayer, for example. Another one that I feel, a slightly less clean production really works for them. Sometimes, fight me, I don't care. The one reason why I can't listen to a lot of early black metal is because the production is so god awful. It sounds like they just recorded it in a garage with some little dinky woody fuck or something. I don't even know what that would be. It sounds like dog shit. I'm sorry, fight me. I'll probably get a lot of black metal elitists on here wanting to murder me, but they'll probably come burn down my house or something.
Don't burn down
But-
the church.
This production is so clean. It is so smooth that it actually hurts this album. It feels so mechanical. It feels so non-natural. It just doesn't sound right. Phil Bozeman does not sound like Phil Bozeman anymore. He sounds so different because of these effects on his voice. Just take, I think it's the 4th track on here, or even the title track, Our Endless War. He just screams that one line. It's just him, and it just doesn't sound like him. It has his strangeness to it, and I just don't like his voice on this album. It's not him personally. It's not his talent. It's not, how he sounds with his range. It's the way they produced his vocals that it sounds like shit. And just everything else. Even the guitars just sound not natural to me. They sound just way too overproduced, and it just brings it down. It really does. It basically, it takes Whitechapel's sound because it's so clean, and it just kills it. It's not heavy anymore, and it doesn't have, and that's one reason why I feel a lot of these songs just don't invoke any feelings in me, because the production is just, I don't know. Personal opinion. Production's always a personal opinion. You might like a more raw production. That may be the reason why you absolutely love early black metal records or something, because they have this just rawness to it. And that might be a factor where you really, really enjoy that, and you just like feeling the rawness, and it evokes a really nice feeling in you. I feel a little bit differently, but when something is just so clean, I feel it just hurts this band when it's this clean. You listen to, I feel the best production that they've had is on a New Era Corruption, because that production sounded good, but it still had, it was kind of clean, but it still had some balls to it, and their guitar tone was as fat as someone's big ass. That was really stupid. It was just a big, fat sound, and it was just a big wall of sound that just smacked you in the face the whole time. And that was a good production. This is just like this. And I don't like that. But it just feels like maybe this band's running slightly short on ideas or something. I really can't tell you. Or maybe the chemistry isn't quite there anymore as it was earlier in their career. Something is missing from this album, and it really sucks. Now, the last track, Diggs Road, is awesome. I really do enjoy that. And the 12th track, it's a bonus track. That song's heavy. It's really cool. It's not the most original thing, but it's heavy. Something that was missing from this album is just some heaviness. And, even when Phil Bozeman, take Worship the Digital Age. Phil Bozeman does these very guttural lows, and they just don't sound the same as if you would listen to this as Exile or a New Era Corruption. They just don't sound right, and it bothers me, because Phil Bozeman is one of my favorite vocalists, and it just bothers me that he's just so overproduced. Way too overproduced. So whoever produced this album, you blew it. Did it wrong.
Yeah, like some of the effects on Phil Bozeman's vocals, it not exactly, but it sort of reminds me of like in exorcism movies or whenever in like a horror movie when someone gets possessed and they have that sort of like dual voice that they have going, like they're talking and there's that low like, you know, low pitched voice that's coming in as well. It's supposed to be like the demon's voice or whatever, and it sounds kind of weird like that. It sounds like it reminds me of that, how it's sort of like doubled up, and you can just easily tell it's there.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah. Like Tyler said about the production, well, pretty much like a lot of what he said about the production and everything. I mean, I listen to you know, a lot of different bands now, and you know, where I wouldn't want it to be like as raw as like, you know, Converge or Malevolence or My Clairvoyant, that would be kind of cool. But for their style, I mean, the cleanness works sometimes, but when there is a heavy part, it just, you know, it's not enough there.
Yeah.
Which is just more of me saying about the production. But overall, I still think these guys are talented and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just my opinion about the album is, like, I listened to it, and this is what I have to say about it. I'm all, like, flipping out about the production, because it reasonably bothers me as a person that used to be a pretty big fan of this band. Not that I hate them now or anything, you know. It's just I used to be, like, way up here, and, you know, I may listen to them occasionally. And I'm not one of those people that, you know, neither of us are, like, one of those people that, you know, they should just put out the Smack Defilement for every album.
No.
You know, we appreciate, you know, all of their stuff. It's just this is, it's pretty different. And sometimes I feel that musicians write stuff that, I mean, they can write what they want to write. It's just they get a bit ahead of themselves sometimes, maybe. And I feel that, you know, somehow they got ahead of themselves with production on this album and just the style that they're going for, and they went a bit too soon. But I mean, it's, I want to like it, you know. Just again, the vocals bother me, and you know, the album not feeling like it should feel sometimes bothers me. But if you take all that away, reproduce it, it could be a very good album. I think pretty.
Last thing I want to mention that bothers me and that they can really improve on is the soloing.
Yeah.
I swear, the soloing on here, I've heard it in every Whitechapel album. It's the same. It's, let's, you know, add this effect to our guitar. Let's do some tremolo picking and, you know, play it in the same exact scale as we usually do. It sounds exactly the same, and it's just, once again, it just anymore just does not make me feel anything. And you know, music's supposed to make you feel something. Maybe you could say the feeling it's making me feel is just, you know, boring or something, you know, or it's the same. But you know, I don't know. They're all the same. They really are. It's just, they can really improve on their soloing, I feel, in that, you know, actually soloing. I don't know how else to put it. Actually playing solo instead of just, you know,
Carrie King it.
yeah, like it's starting to sound like some solos from this band, and that they all sound the same. Flesh God Apocalypse. They're all.
I think there are some pretty crunchy and angry riffs in this album,
Yeah.
and some pretty cool leads. It's just sometimes the little things can bother you that keep an album from being so great, from being great or good or whatever, or keeping you from really, you know, digging into it. And I feel there's some little things in here that I'm looking at them. They're tiny, but they're, you know, it's not like a tiny crack in a sidewalk. It's like a tiny, you know, part of your brain missing. Some things can be, a lot more. Then something's gonna impact you a lot more. It doesn't matter, how big they are, how small they are. Some small things like that can just kind of spread and make this album, not exactly what you're looking for. I guess that's kind of my overall message. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, and some things I won't be able to get used to, like vocal effects and everything. But I will give them credit where it's due. They have some pretty cool, like angry, heavy parts on this that I really haven't heard too much from Whitechapel before. And individual parts of songs, and certain individual songs are pretty good. But I mean, yeah, the album itself. I may have to listen to it more and everything. But it's maybe one of those things like a couple months from now I'll be like, oh, this is great. But I don't really know. The vocal effects are still like,
I mean, I've tried so many times to like this album already. I don't know if I ever really will. Who knows? This album to me is just okay. Not horrible, but not
It's
great.
like a really awesome girl or guy that you might like, but they have a super annoying laugh, and you just can't get past it. I mean, they're cool. They're a cool person. It's just a super annoying laugh. You can't get past it.
Yeah. What'd you give this album?
Probably like a out of 10. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I mean, take your pick.
I'm gonna give this a 6.5 out of 10. Check it out. Whitechapel, Our Endless War. Check out all our other shit. And we'll see you guys
Yeah,
later.
definitely listen to it for yourself. Come up with your own opinion, because we're stupid, and, I mean, I'm stupid, so really come up with your own opinion and pick your music and everything.
Yeah, buddy.
You're garbage.